With me is Christopher Barnes of the University of Victoria. Thank you very much for joining us, Christopher.
You're welcome.
Talk me through your poster. This is a rather unique idea, isn't it? And clearly one you've thought about a great deal, one you've fleshed out a lot. Give me a summary of what it's all about.
Yes, well, I'm doing this really as part of as chair of the United Nations Joint Task Force on smart cable systems that are addressing climate change and tsunami hazard. Right, so what we're talking about is utilizing the telecommunications cables that crisscross the world's oceans, and every 50 kilometers or so they have a repeater, right, which sort of controls the signal going through. So what we believe we can do, and the industry should do, is to add a set of sensors, just simple, three, one for temperature, one for pressure, and one for acceleration. So the one for temperature gives us an indication of the changing temperatures in the ocean, right? So you remember that in October of last year in Paris, there was the COP21 climate.
Absolutely.
And everyone was told that the biggest issue facing the world this century is climate change. The oceans drive climate change. We know so little about the deep ocean and all the currents and the circulation and the changing temperature and the overturning. And we don't have the instrumentation down there. And yet we have cables with real-time ability to transmit data, crossing the oceans, crossing all the irregular features in the oceans, to which we can add sensors. Okay? It would add a little bit of cost, but they're not terribly expensive. They're very reliable. So I've been director of the world's first regional cabled ocean observatory, which has been reporting data since 2009, Neptune, Canada. Right, so we know when we have these sensors down there, all right? And so that's the general premise of it. We have to try and convince industry that this is a good thing for them. They tend to look at their bottom line, but it's not just the industry. It's all the environmental agencies in any country that should be saying, hey, we want that data, like NOAA in the United States.
That's right, so it's not just industry, you're tapping into NGOs, you're tapping into governments, into government organizations as well, which may be prepared to contribute some sort of costs, some sort of funding towards these goals.
Right. For example, in just sea level rise,
Which is down here, sea level rise.
Which is expected to go up 1 meter by the end of this century. When I flew into Dubai, on the data that was showing, the elevation of Dubai airport was 1 meter. Yes, it's the same in Hong Kong, right? It's the same everywhere. Bangladesh, where are we going to put those people when it rises like that? Mauritius. This is a really serious issue. So we need a mechanism of measuring. Sea level rise is not uniform around the world, it varies. And so if you have these sensors distributed many, many places around the ocean, so on our observatory, that can measure the difference of 1/10 of 1 millimeter in nearly 3,000 meters of water. So we're able to measure the change, with time of sea level rise.
It's a fascinating idea. I mean, you mentioned that difficult and brilliant idea, but the difficulty clearly of getting business to stump up for it. Do you have any thoughts on how that could be overcome?
Well, what we put here and in here, it's an opportunity for that industry to contribute to societal good, just like the cables when they were put in were for the societal good of communication, of networking. All right. The other is that it's a marketing opportunity.
Yes.
All right. The data coming out is of value to all kinds of those. The 193 countries and their environmental agencies in Paris said that we must know, we must understand, and we must do things very quickly. Right? So they need data, they need reliable data, and so someone is certainly going to be willing to pay for that data. I mean, we're supported in the Joint Task Force by the World Meteorological Organization, the IOC, UNESCO, and the International Telecommunications Union. So these are three different United Nations agencies that say this is what the Joint Task Force should be trying to do. Right? We only started in 2012. And part of it is advocacy, trying to convince industry that they should do business differently, and there's something of benefit to them, of the bottom line, and there's something of benefit that they can do to the societal good for the planet in the most serious issue facing my grandkids, your grandkids.
Well, Christopher Barnes, really, really interesting idea. And I think it goes to show that actually it's not just working in silos about suboptics, but actually joining it all up together with energy efficiency, together with carbon, together with, as you say, climate change, which is this idea is all about, that actually we have all these problems to solve and we need to look at them all together. Thank you very much.